So we have some more questions in the chat that we'll reserve to the end of the presentation, but now I want to talk about following up a little bit more about the issue of co-hosting and what it means. Of course, most of you have already supported this initiative, and we're not asking you to donate more. Though if you're interested, but we've got the ActBlue link in the chat. We'll put it in again. I'll send you a follow-up email where you can send a check. 31st Street never turns down money. But it's really reaching out that is the key. And co-hosting is really a process that where you can provide almost a service or a favor to friends and relatives who are struggling now in this terrible, terrible time. How do we save this country? And most people are struggling to find something that they can feel is really effective and impactful. This is not something that they're going to get an email about out of the blue, unlike all these other donation emails they get, but you can inform them about it and you can bring them in. And by putting together a number of different co-hosts with different networks, doesn't have to be people who even know each other, we can create a really viable, very high, inspiring event in which Jim presents more of the rationale for North Carolina and state legislative support, and also the statewide candidate support with the same strategy of low frequency voter mobilization. And Chris can talk about the production of these ads and also the distribution and her strategy for distribution. So let me just talk a little bit about what does that actually involve, and then we're going to have Cathy Pickar, who's someone who's co-hosted an in-person and a Zoom fundraising event, to say how easy it all was. So let me just share my screen and just go through this very quickly, this process. The 3 easy steps to co-hosting a digital ad fundraiser. So we pick a date and a time, and hopefully a bunch of people volunteer to be co-hosts, and they all just cast a very wide net. Emails of friends all over the country, relatives near and far, anybody you can think of. People, when Cathy Pickar is going to be speaking in a few minutes, did this, she reached out to Harlan County, Kentucky, to old buddies, and a lot of them were, well, not a, well, you had a good share who were interested, and who would have expected that. And then with my help, we craft an invitation, we send it out a couple of times. I take care of the RSVPs, we send out a reminder, we give people some previews of some ads to, tease them about how great these ads are. And then on the day of the event, it's just a matter of some of the co-hosts, not all of them, can introduce themselves, say a few words about how this initiative inspired them, and then they sit back and enjoy the program, because they really don't have to put on the program. Jim and Chris do that. Afterwards, I let the co-hosts know those who have donated, and they can send a thank you. And that's really all that is involved. So Cathy, why don't you sort of fill in the blanks and say how it felt to be a co-host?
Sure. I had a good, thanks, Julie. I had a good time co-hosting. As I said, we did it in 2019 at my house. And then the Zoom offered a bigger opportunity, actually. So I had decided I wanted to have at least 15 co-hosts who would guarantee me that they could get, between 15 and 20 people they would contact personally to attend. And my goal was to get 120 people to attend. I think we had 90 people attend our Zoom, which was actually pretty terrific. And the reason was I knew a lot of the people that I would be inviting were not big hitters, and we needed to get, a quantity of gifts. And as Julie said, I went so deep into my contacts, going back to my high school classmates of 50 years ago, the 5 Democrats that I can identify from deep in the Appalachian Mountains of Kentucky. And one of them said to me, "Why, Cathy Ann, this is going to be a political Tupperware party." And, and they just took off with it. Then they started inviting their friends, and it was great. The timing that we had was we chose late on a Sunday, because late afternoon on a Sunday, because that avoids the Friday and the Saturday and Sunday morning religious conflicts. And then after that, let's see, Julie really had the templates and knew how to craft an invitation, and we sent that out. And then I put together an email to my co-host saying, this is what I would say when I'm sending out the invitation to people. You personalize it, because that email to which you attach the invitation was really going to be the eye catcher. And I had already talked to a lot of my co-hosts who weren't familiar with 31st Street about what it was and why I believe so much in their strategy. And that's easy going forward now, because you have that Washington Post article, which is terrific. And then we send out reminders. So you send out the invitation and you send out reminders. What I did stress to my co-host, though, and I think this is why it was effective, I want you to send personal emails. And, you know, some of them had a network of 100 people. Maybe they're not going to send 100 personal emails, but as many as possible. And that made a huge difference. I really believe in that strongly. And then at the Zoom, I spoke briefly as to why I believed in it, but that was it. Julie did the heavy lifting in terms of keeping track of everything and made it very easy. And actually, I have to say, a little fun for it. In choosing the date, though, that's the first thing. And it has to be a date that Chris is available and that Jim is available. And just like we heard Brian today, if you have a special guest, and I think that adds so much to it, that person is available. And then you go from there. It really rolls.
And I think we had people from at least 15 states.
Yeah, I mean, I sent out to friends in California. That's why I like the late afternoon date, because then we can get the Pacific Coast people as well. So I had already hit up so many of my local folks when I did the in-person one, and we had to spread it out. I just can't keep asking the same people. So that was a big emphasis. We wanted a very big, broad geographic representation when that I wanted our co-hosts to reach out to, and they really rose to the occasion as well. Yeah, so it was easy. It's actually easy.
Right. That's it. Yep. And it was fun.
Yeah, it was.
All of them are fun.